Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about symptoms of blood cancer. Now when it comes to blood cancer, they usually put them into two main categories, and you have for lymphoma in particular, they have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and Hodgkin lymphoma. Mine in particular is a non-Hodgkin lymphoma type. It is follicular lymphoma. It's a type of blood cancer there is no cure for. The best you can hope for is a treatment and hopefully a remission period, which can be a long remission period or a short remission period, or if you survive the treatment. So it depends on where you're at, what stage you're at, and that sort of thing. But when it comes to the symptoms, okay, now a lot of these symptoms, some of them are obvious, some of them not so obvious. Okay, and we'll go through all of them, or all the symptoms that I had. And these symptoms are also symptoms for many other sort of problems or issues that people might be going through. And it does, if you have one or two or three of these symptoms, it doesn't mean that you have cancer. Okay, it just means that you have some sort of metabolic issue going on, and a lot of it can be put down to things like stress as well. There are a few extra sort of issues that you might get depending on what stage that you are at, and I'll go through some of that with some of the other less obvious symptoms that I had as well. That may indicate that you're at a higher stage than stage 1 or 2, for example. Okay. So I don't want anyone to stress if you feel like, okay, I've got similar symptoms. It doesn't mean that you have cancer. It just means that you have some sort of issue going on, and maybe you should get a checkup. Okay. All right. So we'll start with some of the more obvious, like easy to check symptoms. All right. One in particular is just feeling tired all the time. You can't stop yawning. You're always sleepy, or yet you can't sleep. You maybe when you're exercising, you feel tired, and you just sort of get that lethargic feeling all the time, and it just goes with you all day long. And you're sort of struggling just to get things done. Now that again, like, it is an obvious symptom, but it could be anything. Okay, it could just be stress and a lot of things going on in your lives too as well. So, people get tired anyway. Okay. The next one is shortness of breath. Okay, so whether you are, depending on what you are doing, okay, if you're just doing the things that you are used to doing, and you are struggling to breathe, you're struggling to get air in your lungs, this is another quite strong symptom. So for example, for me, I was still exercising a lot, and thinking back, I used to have this really nice long staircase in Japan that I used to love doing sprints up and down. And sometimes it would, some days I was fine, but other days I would be really struggling just try and get up the stairs at all, because I just could not breathe. So this is a lack of oxygen being carried by the blood cells. Okay, a lot going on, but they're just not carrying oxygen to your muscles or to your lungs. Okay, so you're going to find it very difficult to breathe. Okay, colds and flus. Now, depending on how long or what stage you're at, okay, colds and flus, you're going to be very susceptible to any kind of infections. Okay, so like colds and flus are going to be very easy to catch. So like you know, for me, it was like someone would walk past with a cold and I would catch it. All right. And it would be very difficult to get rid of, because when it comes to your blood cancer, especially, is really attacking your immune system. Your lymphatic system is really important for your immune system. Okay, it carries all your white cells and all your vitamins and nutrients and things like that in the lymph fluid. So, and you know, it also there's other reasons for this as well. Obviously, if you have low cholesterol, for example, you're not producing enough D3 hormone and testosterone and other things like that. There's a lot going on, but you know, which unless you test, you're not going to find. But you will see that you can or you can't get rid of colds and flus as easily as you used to, and you are more susceptible to getting these infections. Aches and pains. Now, again, you know, a lot of these are symptoms for very minor things as well. So don't panic if you have, you know, some of these symptoms. Okay, it just means, you know, there's something going on. Now, aches and pains in your joints, for example, and again, like I said, you're not getting oxygen in your blood's not carrying much oxygen to your muscles, so you're going to get aching muscles and you know, bones and everything like that. So it may not be a very obvious sort of pain. You might just get it every now and then. It won't last, but it's just one of those things. And again, this could be a symptom of something else as well, just being tired, for example, or not enough protein in your diet and that sort of thing. But you'll find that you get a bit stiff and hard to move sometimes as well. It's kind of a struggle. Okay. Another one is swollen glands. Now, with blood cancer, okay, because it's and lymphoma, your lymph nodes, okay, which are riddled throughout your body in your lymphatic system, okay, like little bean-shaped sensors in your blood system, in your lymphatic system, okay, which tells you there's a problem, okay, and also helps regulate things. Now, they will be swollen, and depending on the stage you're at, okay. Now, lymphoma starts in your lymphatic system, okay. So this is going to be one of the early symptoms. Some are very close to the surface of your skin, depending on how much body fat you carry. Okay, at the time for me, I was very lean, so I had swollen glands. Okay, so you're going to get these lymph nodes in the neck. Okay, are going to be quite swollen, and also in the armpits. All right. For me, I was at very high stage 4 when I was first diagnosed. So all those lymph nodes were malignant tumors. Okay, so because it starts in the lymphatic system, that's sort of the first place that it attacks. And all those lymph nodes became malignant. So some of them were quite large, okay, and this is going to be a problem. It's something that you can check for yourself. If you feel in your neck, you can feel sometimes. Now, this just happens for some people when they have a cold or a flu as well. It doesn't mean that you have cancer. It just means that, you know, your glands are swollen. Okay, so it can be many other things as well. So don't panic if you have swollen glands. If they stay swollen, okay, if you get finished the cold and flu sort of thing, then maybe you might not get this sort of thing checked out. Apart from that, like these are things that you can check yourself, and you can feel like under your armpit in your neck and things like that. And you know, if not, then you might want to get tested but just have a blood test is good. Okay, next, you feel like you're slowing down a lot. Again, this comes down to like you feel tired, you have shortness of breath, and you just feel like you just can't like walk or run or just do things that you used to do that came easily. You just feel like your body's just slowing down quite dramatically. And that was a problem I was having. It was one of those things where, like, one day I would be out sprinting everyone around me, and the next day would be, or a couple of days later, I wouldn't be able to keep up with anyone. So you get that. For me, I put it down to, I was just getting older, but that's not necessarily the case. Okay, so if like in a short period of time, you feel like a dramatic slowdown in everything that you do. Okay. Not sleeping. Okay, so not sleeping is, again, it is a pretty obvious one for many other reasons. Could be just stress, but it's also one of the symptoms of blood cancer, because you're tired all the time. You can't sort of operate properly. You can't think properly. Yet you just can't sleep. There were some nights where I just couldn't sleep at all. Like, I might sleep an hour, and that would be enough. Or it wouldn't be enough, but I just couldn't get any more. Just, be it stress or overthinking, or just your body just wouldn't shut down. Okay. Another one is night sweats. This one is a fairly obvious one, but unless you know that it's a symptom, you might just put it down to something else. Now, just because you sweat at night, especially like if it's in summer, okay, that doesn't mean that you are sick, all right? But when you excessively sweat when you are sleeping, it doesn't matter what time you are sleeping, even in winter, okay, then there's obviously a problem. So, I mean, this could be, again, symptoms for many other things as well. I'm not saying that it's just blood cancer, but like in the middle of winter in Japan, it's snowing and everything like that, no heater on throughout in the house, I would still sweat through the night when I was sleeping. So, and sweat like quite a lot, like enough that I would leave like a sweat mark in the bed. Okay. So this is quite an obvious sort of thing that you can check for yourself. Now, again, like I said, it doesn't mean that, like, if you're sweating at night or when you sleep through summer, I mean, that's just a normal process. I mean, my body runs a higher temperature than my wife, for example. So in summer, even now, I still sweat it when I'm sleeping. But when you're doing that all year round, even in winter and cooler months, okay, there's a problem, all right? And, again, like an excessive amount of sweat, right? Even when it's cold. And another maybe less obvious one is your body composition. You have trouble with losing body fat. Doesn't matter how active you are or how you change your diet. You will find that it's very difficult to add muscle, for one, because your muscles are just breaking down. You're not getting enough oxygen. You're feeling tired and run down, and so it's going to be very difficult anyway. And I mean, again, this all comes down to what stage you are at in your disease as well. But you'll find it very difficult to lose fat and to change your body composition. Another one that is less obvious, you may tend to get headaches, and which again can be many other reasons why, but again, a lack of oxygen in the blood. Okay, you'll have trouble thinking, concentrating, and you will get headaches. Now that can be, again, many other reasons as well, but it is also a symptom of your body breaking down and being a blood cancer as well. Okay, so another symptom was for me, my skin condition. It was dry, flaky, and the skin color. I was almost like that gray zombie color because it just wasn't getting any blood flow properly. It was not so obvious at the time, but looking back, and if I'll show you the difference between now and then, the skin color was very, very different, and had that very morbid sort of look about me that, you know, I just at the time didn't notice, you know. So that's just another thing to look out for. Any sudden changes in your skin condition. Again, this can be many other reasons as well. Doesn't have to be as serious as blood cancer, but it is just another one of those symptoms, because you're just obviously not getting the nutrients in your body that your skin needs, and you know this will manifest in this way if you have blood cancer as well. Okay, another symptom for me was also nosebleeds. I'd quite often get nosebleeds, and these were not something that I was used to getting like throughout my life. So it was, looking back now, it's kind of an obvious thing. But again, you know, this can be a symptom of many other things as well. But nosebleeds would start, and they would be very difficult to stop. They were very easy to start. All right, so some of the not so obvious symptoms of blood cancer. Now, blood glucose levels. And yeah, recently some people have been calling cancers like a form of diabetes. And in some respect, yes. For example, if you have chronically elevated blood glucose, okay, this leads to many manifestations of disease. Okay, so it can lead to diabetes. It can lead to many other things as well, including cancer. It is I'm not going to say it's a cause, but it is definitely a contributing factor. It is an underpinning contributor. So keeping track of your blood glucose is a really good idea. And I will show you in a upcoming video how to monitor your blood glucose and what the numbers mean as well. I prefer the blood glucose monitoring for example, A1C check, because if you eat a high meat, high fat diet, or have a healthy diet, your red blood cells are going to live longer, which is going to give you a higher A1C number. Not too high. I mean, unless it's like dramatically high, then there's a problem. But blood glucose, you can monitor at home very easily, and it will show you whether you have a chronic elevated blood glucose level or not. So I think that's a much easier and much easier test for you to do at home, and something you can use to monitor your situation. So pretty much in that respect, especially blood cancer, you can monitor the same as diabetes as you would diabetes. Okay. Okay, so another symptom, it is obvious because it manifests in pain, but it's not something that's obvious that you'll know what it is. So it is something you'll need to get checked. So it's a little less obvious that way. But abdominal pains, for example, lymphomas will manifest in tumor growth as well, outside of the lymphatic system. So I had a large tumor wrapped around my aorta, and this was actually very large in the end before we found it. So that manifested in very, very sharp pains in my mid-abdominal region, around the lower ribs sort of area. But it was a very short pain, like a very sharp stabbing pain, but it didn't last very long. It was over in just a few seconds. And this might happen, a few times a day, like once to, maybe 3 or 4 times in a day. Just depends on where you're at. Now this sort of things, when it comes to this, also leads to symptoms of other things, because usually what happens is that because it's attacking your system, it will cause problems in other areas. And for example, my tumor was so big that it was sitting on both my kidneys, and it also caused problem with my kidneys. So my left kidney actually shrunk down to almost nothing, and the right kidney was just down to 12% flow capacity. So this meant that I was getting, this means you're going to get pain in the kidneys as well. So especially my left side, because it had shrunk down to almost nothing. So that was another pain I was getting. So lower sort of back area, I was getting sharp pains that wouldn't last very long, but be quite acute. Now, this was just my case. It doesn't mean it's going to happen to everyone. And it doesn't mean that everyone's going to get the same symptoms, okay? But when you have blood cancer or lymphoma, it is going to manifest in other areas of the body and give you problems as well. So it's not that the cancer always kills people. It's because of complications due to the cancer. And of course, all of these symptoms can be symptoms for other things that are quite minor as well. So it doesn't mean that you're going to have cancer just because you have a few of these symptoms either. But it's always worth getting a checkup and just seeing what's going on if you are having problems like this. Okay, so these are some of the symptoms that I had, and it doesn't mean that you have cancer just because you have a few of these symptoms. Okay, so don't panic. Right? It just means that you have something going on, and you should maybe get checked out. If you are having all of these symptoms, okay, then you should definitely get checked out. A lot of these things you can really check for yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to have a blood test, which is not a bad idea, but they are easy to check yourself, and you will know that there is something going on anyway. So I hope this has helped in some way to help you, or at least give you something to look out for as well. And I think one of the most obvious ones is to monitor your blood glucose, because that can be a marker for many other things, diabetes and many other more serious diseases. So I think it is a good idea to have a CGM and to check that every now and then for yourself anyway. So, all right, everyone, have a great day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you very much.